Hi, I'm Melody, and this is my journey to PA school.
Guys, I'm so excited to be joined by my good friend Melody. She has such an amazing story about her journey to becoming a PA, such a unique background and experience, and I'm just so excited to share her story with you today. But first, you gotta let everyone know where we're at. This is a unique background here that we got.
We're at Art Flying Aerial, which is my family's aerial yoga studio. I'm an aerialist part-time. I teach yoga on the side, and then I'm also a PA, so.
Doing it all, just like so amazing. And so thank you so much for letting me come interview you in this awesome space. And I'm gonna be trying out some of the aerial yoga, so stay tuned because I'll probably make a fool of myself, but it's all right. Not with a great teacher like herself, I'm sure I'll be fine. But again, Melody, thank you so much for joining me. And let's start at the beginning. So what kind of sparked your interest in becoming a PA?
I think for me it was the scope of practice and direct patient care. I was previously a clinical laboratory scientist, so I didn't have that yet. So the scope of practice, being able to talk to patients and take care of them was something that really interested me.
Did you know, like, going into undergrad, or was this something you found out closer towards the end of graduating?
Actually, I found out really late. I had a previous career before PA school. So I was a clinical laboratory scientist, I was a public health researcher, and I kind of grew really tired of it. And I realized that I wanted to be in direct patient care.
Okay, so you're doing that and you realize, I want something different, I want the direct patient care. Now, did you have to go and retake classes, or did you have a lot of the prereqs already taken care of?
Actually, yes. So I had a lot of the prereqs taken care of. I didn't have to do any of the, I didn't have to take any extra classes, which was really great and lucky on my part, because I actually hear a lot of stories where people have to take more classes. But because I had a BS in clinical laboratory science, I had all my classes there already.
So you realize you want to become a PA, but you probably needed to learn about the PA profession. What did you do to kind of start learning more about the profession? Did you just research online? Did you network?
I had a mentor who was my public health, she was my principal investigator in public health. She was also a public health nurse, and she also knew a lot of different nurse practitioners and doctors, and so she told me about the PA profession because I was telling her that I was getting tired of doing research. So she connected me with different people and PAs, and I did a lot of research on my own in terms of the scope of practice of PAs, and then I got to shadow a lot of different people as well.
Did you shadow nurse practitioners and physicians?
Yes, first was nurse practitioners, and I saw how they were able to be clinicians, and then I came in contact with a couple of PAs, and then I saw that aspect of it and the differences in how people are trained.
Did you feel that having that opportunity to shadow people in different specialties, did that kind of help you understand, yes, PA is really what I want to do, it fits my personality well?
Yes, definitely. I think, so I was able to shadow different doctors, also nurse practitioners and PAs, and for me and my background, the PA profession was perfect for me.
Great, so it's nice to kind of have that ability. I recommend people to shadow just as many people as possible. Some people are so fixated on, I need to shadow PAs.
Definitely.
But it's a good idea to shadow other aspects of the healthcare field because it can open your eyes to different areas, and maybe it could help you realize, yes, PA is right for me, or maybe no, PA is not exactly what I want to do, and you might be interested in something else. A lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of work involved in becoming a PA, so you want to make sure it's definitely the career path for you, because you don't want to go into it and realize, hey, I want to do something different. So shadow everybody, shadow as many different specialties as you can, different career choices, and that'll kind of help you hone in on if the PA path is really for you. So you got that opportunity to shadow, and you're figuring out, okay, PA is my thing. Let's kind of move through CASPA process.
Yeah.
I know CASPA is daunting and time consuming. How did you go about kind of getting everything organized?
Yeah, so I kind of have a unique story in the sense that I put all my eggs in one basket, so I only applied to one PA school.
And let me ask you, why did you choose to only apply to one PA school, and why did you choose that particular one as opposed to all
Yeah.
the different ones around?
So, like I mentioned, I was really interested in public health. So I knew either before PA school or after PA school, I wanted to do my master's in public health. So there's very few schools in the United States, of course, that offer that dual degree program. And the only one in California is Toro, California. So I only applied there because it's the only school that offered it.
Now, you're born and raised Southern California, so you realized it was Northern California. Did you say, hey, it's in California still, I'm going?
Yes, definitely. I didn't really care about the location because I knew it was going to be temporary. But since it was in California and me being just, I guess, a little bit more financially responsible, I knew that I didn't want to be paying extra tuition for like out of state. So.
Right. And so since you put all your eggs into one basket and applied to just that one program, did you go up for a preview day or open house?
I didn't. I just learned about it as much as possible online, doing as much research as possible.
Okay. Were you able to network with any current students or alumni or anything?
Yes, so I actually emailed a couple students from there and asked them how they liked the public health program as well. Because if it's a dual degree program, you're also paying for that other master's. So I wanted to make sure it's something that I wanted to do.
So even though you were only going all in on this one program, but you did your due diligence and you really researched it like crazy, and you were able to network with alumni or current students so that you got a better understanding of that program. So for all you out there that are researching programs, it's really important for you to just investigate the program as much as possible. If you can, go to an open house or preview day. Try to get in contact with current students or recent alumni. Especially with social media nowadays, it's so easy.
So much easier.
Yeah, to kind of connect and find someone that's currently at the program. So, put your word out there, see if you could connect with people, and that's going to help you out. So, you go through CASPA, and then how about things like getting your letters of recommendation? How did you go about that?
Yeah, so at the time I was doing AmeriCorps, which is very similar to Peace Corps, however it's healthcare related, and so I was at a rural clinic, and that's where I was with doctors and the NPs and PAs there, and I got a lot of my I had to have 3 letters of recommendations. One of them I got from the doctor there, the other one I got from the PA, and then the other one from my mentor, who was my public health research.
Let's talk a little bit more about that AmeriCorps, because I'm not very familiar with it.
Yeah.
Do you travel to other countries, or you're just staying local in the
No,
US?
so it's AmeriCorps, so it's stationed in the United States. I was actually pretty lucky that it was healthcare related, and it was based in LA. It was through Community Clinic Association of Los Angeles, and so there was a group of, I believe, 14 of us that were sent to different clinics around the LA County, and a lot of them were federally qualified health centers. So we got to see patients who were medically underserved, and we got to see a lot of primary care, just the basis of primary care.
And as a member of that program, are you involved in the patient's care, or what kind of things do you
Yeah,
get to
so I was doing a lot of case management, and I was also able to, I was basically a scribe, a translator. I was translating for the providers there from English to Spanish, Spanish to English, and so I got to see a lot of how they connected with patients and a lot of their treatments and everything.
Yeah, so it's great. You really got to kind of dive in and get this medical experience that I feel probably really helped you when you're applying to PA school. So you got your letters of rec from it. And then let's briefly talk about the personal statement. Did you have any recommendations out there for people trying to write their personal statement? Did you brainstorm? Did you have a ton of rough drafts?
I had a ton of rough drafts. I don't know how many I went through, but I think the most important thing is having as many people read it, even if it's not someone in the medical field. I actually had my really good friend who's a writer.
Nice, that's good.
Read it over, and she, coming not from a medical background, she was able to see, well, I don't know how this connects with readers, or I don't know how this connects with someone who isn't in medicine, because sometimes some people on the admissions boards aren't, providers or clinicians. And
you have to keep that in mind. It's kind of a general personal statement on your motivations to becoming a PA, but you have to think the admissions committee is made up of more people than just the faculty and practicing PAs. Sometimes it's people involved in the program that aren't necessarily as medically minded. So you kind of want to make it more, you're telling your story, but have a really broad audience. So I think that's great that you had a writer read over it. Of course, it's helpful for various reasons, but I think if you can get your story across to someone that's not involved in the medical field, it's going to show that your personal statement's that much stronger.
Definitely.
So you got that taken care of. And how was it when you actually were all set and ready to submit?
Oh man, it kind of takes me back. I have palpitations about it, but yeah, it was pretty scary because I was kind of putting everything into this one school and hoping it would, just hoping for the best. And I was really nervous because I wasn't sure if I had all of the qualifications there. I think when you're submitting it, you have a little bit of confidence, but there's always something in the back of your mind there.
Yeah, it's going to have that little bit of anxiety. I'm sure probably interacting with other friends that were applying to PA school and hearing them say, oh, I'm going to apply to like 10 or more programs, and you say, oh, I'm going to apply to just this one. Ooh, all right, good luck.
I know. Yeah, I think also was there was a couple of us that were applying at the same time, and then them getting their acceptance letters or their rejection letters, and then I'm still waiting. That's a little scary.
Yeah, the waiting is always the hardest part. So you submit your application, and how long did you have to wait? Was it like weeks, months?
Months.
Months for you?
Yes.
Yeah, mine was months also. So nowadays people are getting feedback and getting interview offers like a couple weeks to months after. And I'm like, man, that's exciting, but the waiting is so stressful. What do you do to kind of keep your mind off things? You're still working in the AmeriCorps?
I was still working in AmeriCorps. I was working in clinical care extender as well, volunteering, and then I had a couple other projects that I was doing as well. So I kept busy. So in that sense, I wasn't really just waiting on that.
Right.
But I mean, it was always in the back of my mind, or I'm always checking my email at night.
Exactly. Like, come on, check. No, but that's the most important thing, is you always need to stay busy, stay focused, and just because you submitted doesn't mean you could just stop. You need to keep getting those clinical hours, those experiences, keep volunteering, even shadowing, just doing everything, so each day you're one step closer to achieving your goals. You finally hear that you have an interview at the one school you applied to, and you find out you got an interview. Yeah. How happy were you?
I was so excited. I had been waiting for this for months now, and the night before I actually emailed the school because I hadn't heard back in so many months, and then the next day I got that email for that interview.
Oh wow, so what a coincidence.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And so it's interview time. This is your one shot.
Yep.
Did you do anything to prepare? Were you doing mock interviews with friends? Were you just researching questions online?
I was researching questions online. I think at the time when I was interviewing or preparing for the interviews, there wasn't as much content as there is now.
Right.
There's not a lot, there weren't as many blogs out there. There weren't, so I just researched, PA school interviews, common questions. I asked a lot of my friends who went through the same things, and I basically set up my own camera and I videoed myself. So I didn't have any of the, I didn't go through a PA coach what they have now, or a mock interview, because it just wasn't available at the time. And honestly, I don't think I would have afforded it. But so I set up a camera. I recorded myself and see if I was able to answer my own questions, and see if I can, go through that whole answer and kind of make sense at the end.
No, that's good. I think recording yourself helps also, because you get to pick up any little mannerisms, or why am I fidgeting with my hands like this, and I'm just by myself with the camera. What am I going to be doing when there's actually someone there and I'm really nervous?
Yeah.
So little nuances like that. I think that's a great tip to, if you don't have resources available or people that can do mock interviews with you, just throw up the camera, put your phone, record it, see how you do, and you could just improve from there.
Right, and it doesn't even have to be, or you can ask a friend, you can ask someone who isn't even in the medical field, just to ask these questions for you, and just having the practice there.
If it's your first time going through it, you're going to be anxious, nervous, and they're going to ask you a question that might catch you off guard. So if you have prepared or practiced at least a little bit beforehand, you're going to be so much better and more comfortable during the interview process. So do what you can. It's going to pay off in the long run. So you go, and it's interview day.
Yes, really stressed out.
Stressful, nervous. all those emotions going through. How was the experience overall, knowing that you're like, this is the one school I applied to, this is the one school I want to attend?
Yes.
Did you have like kind of do some internalization and self-talk to help boost your confidence? Or were you like Eminem in the movie, like in the mirror, or were you just like, all right, don't mess this up?
I think it was a little of both, to be honest. I think I knew that I had prepared for this basically for like 5 years or so, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually wasn't as nervous because I knew I kind of had this self-confidence, and I went in knowing that I was prepared. I got called back for an interview for a reason, and I went in just knowing this is what I want to do. If it doesn't work out this time, then there's always next year.
Right.
And then next year I'll be more prepared.
Exactly. So you get through the interview process. Were there any like little things that you recall from the interview that you're like, oh, I wish I had practiced this in the past, or maybe knowing what you know now, prepared differently?
I think one thing that I would recommend is going to the school, driving there from your hotel the night before.
Oh, that's a good one.
What happened to me is that I missed the exit.
Oh, yikes.
And if anyone knows the freeways up north, there's only one exit, and then there isn't one for like 10 miles. And so I had to drive back. I was probably about 5 minutes. I wasn't late, but I got to the interview 5 minutes before. Mm-hmm. And that was really stressful. So I always tell people, make sure you go to campus, know where. I mean, I had visited the campus before, mm-hmm. but I didn't drive from my hotel.
Right.
So I mean, it's important.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people don't take this into consideration, just the logistics of traveling for interviews. You say, okay, this interview is at the school in another state. I'll fly in here. I'll rent a car, stay at this hotel, but there's a lot more logistics that you don't really think about, and then spur of the moment something happens, and then you're flustered and nervous, and I'm sure when you first walked into that room, you're like, even though you had 5 minutes to spare, but you're probably like all just flustered walking into the room, and everyone's already kind of laid out, prepared and ready.
I was checking in. I was the last person to check in, and I'm like, great, that's a great way to start.
A good first impression. The last one here, but I'm still on time, so it works out. So you power through and you get through the interview, and then again that whole waiting period. Was there another long waiting period for you?
It wasn't too much of a wait. I think it was about a week, and I heard back. Yeah.
So a week goes by. Every day you're probably like checking your phone or your email and everything.
Yeah.
Let's take me back to that experience when you find out you got accepted into the program.
Yes. So they actually sent a letter. It wasn't email at the time.
Don't worry. I was back in the day when there was letters also. So everyone's getting their phone calls and their emails. Yeah. But back in our day, no.
I know.
I got a letter, and you're so nervous to open it. So go ahead, tell me. You got your letter.
I got my letter. It was actually I ended up opening it here at our studio.
Wow.
Yeah, and I opened it, and I almost cried. You know, mm-hmm. It was so much work up to this point, and just everything. It was great.
Yeah, it's so a monumental event.
Yeah.
And I was the same way. Like I distinctly and vividly can recall the memory from when I found out I was accepted. It's just such the culmination of all your hard work, and you're finally succeeding and achieving your goal. It's just such an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's fast forward to PA school.
Yeah.
Now it's the real time. You put on all this hard work to get there. Now it's what it's all about is actually going through school. So briefly talk about like didactic year. A lot of people ask me, how do you handle school life balance with the workload? Any recommendations or tips on how you did it?
Yeah, I get this question a lot also. I think going into it, I wanted to just study every single moment that I could. Mm-hmm. And I think that's everyone's initial inclination. Right. It's just, there's so much material, how am I going to get through everything? But it's really not healthy that way. I would recommend scheduling time for yourself. You schedule in time to study, why not schedule in a yoga class or like doing anything, watching TV, spending time with your family members.
Exactly.
Anything.
You have to give your mind a break. I know people that were in my PA class that when we first started, they were just like glued to their seat in the library for hours and hours upon end every single day. And you know, your body could only do that for so long, and then it starts breaking down, and all these bad things start happening. You start like getting sick, you start putting on weight. You're like, or maybe that's just me. So then I changed things up, and what really helped me, and then I'll ask if the same held true for you, is I got myself a really solid routine.
Yes.
And I wrote it out, and I said each day I'm going to go to school a little early, go to the library, study for like 45 minutes to an hour, then go through class. After class, I would either do a group study certain days, or I'd go straight to the gym. Pretty much the last thing I did once we were done with school was go to the gym.
Yep.
I set aside at least an hour and a half for the gym, and I knew that time was my time to just not worry about anything.
Yeah.
Put my headphones on, work out, do whatever, and once I was done with that, then I could get back to like dinner, studying again. What were some of the things you got for your routine?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that I figured out was that I was not a morning studier. And that was a huge thing for me. So I wouldn't study in the morning. I would end up just going to yoga class in the morning, and then after that, after like our classes, I would go home. I would not do anything. I wouldn't even read. I would just sit down and just relax, watch some TV, and then for about an hour, I would, you know, talk to my family members, and then after that, study.
From down Southern California, but school's up in Northern California, did you have a good support system? Did you have family up there? What did?
I did not have family out there, but my husband moved with me, so that was great. I got married in PA school, yeah, so he was great in the sense that he was always there when I was crying and doing all those different things. Yeah, but also like your PA class becomes your family.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I agree.
And that support, you know, someone who's going through all of the different things there with you, it's, you cannot change that. Like it's.
No, I agree. There's so many of my classmates that are still really good friends or really close, and it's because like you're enduring this like torture, and you're all enduring it together.
Yeah.
And it just grows strong bonds.
Yeah.
That last. I'm sure you're still really close with a lot of your classmates.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the great things about PA school. Kind of the things you don't think of is you create these strong friendships with people that you get going through PA school. So you get through didactic year, and now it's time for clinical rotations. But actually, I'm not 100% sure on your program. Do you have a separate year for the Masters in Public Health, or how does it work?
No, so our program is slightly longer, so it's 3 years, about 3 years. It's 1.5 years of didactic, so we take our PA classes in the morning, and then our Masters of Public Health classes at night.
Okay.
So we were in class from about 9 to 9 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty intense. So you power through that, and then you get to clinical.
Yes.
And what was that like? You have your shiny, short, white coat, you're all excited, and you go in to see that first patient.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like?
Scary. Scary. My first rotation was actually in the ER, and that was the one, like that one specialty where I didn't think I was going to thrive. You know, I was really scared about it. And very first day, my preceptor comes in and he's like, "Your patient's ready." And I didn't even have any time to stress out about it because it just happened so fast.
Right.
But it was a great experience.
I think one of the really unique things about the PA profession and just the characteristics that I really admire as far as PAs is our ability to kind of handle pressure situations and adapt and like think critically, logically, and get through these like high stress situations. Because I was the same way for like certain rotations. You're just like throwing in like, there you go, ask me if you need any help, and you're like, and when they say that, it actually means like, don't bother me.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, here you go do your thing, ask me if you have questions, but don't bother me because I'm busy doing my other stuff.
Yeah.
So you really have to learn to like be able to handle situations, think critically.
Yeah.
And but the testament to you is like, hey, ER you didn't think would be your strong point, and you got through it that first month, and I'm sure it helped you for the rest of your rotations.
I think it was actually a blessing in disguise, to be honest, because I was dreading it. Initially, my ER rotation was going to be the very last one, but then as all clinical schedules go, it switched around and
guess what?
Yeah, and then a week before my rotation was supposed to start, I got switched into the ER. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely no time to prepare.
No.
But you will learn very quick. And I was the same way, where like something got switched on me and it's like, all right, we're gonna have to learn this really quick because I don't want to fail at this. I put too much time and effort, so I'm gonna just really work hard and get through it. So you're getting through clinical year and you get time to graduate. Let's talk about trying to like find your first job.
Yeah.
So were you looking for a job as you're getting towards the tail end of clinical year?
I was not, primarily because the way our program is set up. So my last rotation was actually my public health rotation, so I was in another country. And then I still had a month before my PENS.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually didn't start looking for jobs until about when I was ready to take my PENS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your experience through your program where you got to go to another country.
Mm-hmm.
What country did you go to and what kind of things did you do there?
Yeah, so I went to Bolivia. It was mainly for a public health rotation. I was doing research there about a specific type of insurance, like a health insurance, and then being able like to update protocols, infectious disease protocols, and things like that. And I was also able to shadow a lot of different providers out there. Of course, there's no PAs out there, but yeah, I got to see a lot of the hospitals and how they're run, and it was a really eye-opening experience.
A very unique situation, being able to see how healthcare is in a different setting and country. Yeah. And I'm sure that makes you a better provider, bringing that knowledge and experience back to working in your current job right now. So you get through and you graduate and you're so excited. And did you take some time between graduating and taking the PANS, or did you take it right away?
I did not. When I was looking up to take my PANS, I kind of procrastinated, and so I initially thought that I would be able to schedule it about a week after, but then when I went to sign up, it had all been booked. Oh. So if you want to take the PANS by a specific date, make sure you're signing up early.
Yeah, sign up early.
So then the earliest that I could take it was about 3 to 4 weeks after, which I think really worked out for me because I was up north. I had to come back to SoCal. That whole moving process was stressful, and getting back home and things like that, so it gave me enough time.
Nice. Did you do any other traveling aside from moving back down?
I did not, no.
See, I was like so done with just like school in general. I was just so happy to be done that our program finished in July, and for August, I was like, August is mine. I'm going on trips. I went to Costa Rica. I did a bunch of camping trips. I just like didn't worry about anything for that month. And then I gave myself 6 weeks. I signed up for the PANS and gave myself 6 weeks and studied for basically September. Took it in October, passed. And I was fortunate enough where my last clinical rotation offered me a job. So I kind of had that luxury of, hey, I already was offered a job. I finished school. And it was like, hey, when you're done, then you have your job. So I took that time to
great.
Just like unwind, because I knew like school is taking up your whole entire life. And then once you start working, especially if you're working full time, it's going to be tough to get like big chunks for vacations and things like that. So I wanted to maximize it and just kind of reset myself, I guess, like travel, have other life experiences, and then say, all right, it's game time, PA, all the way, work, rest of my career. So. But so you take the exam, and when you took the exam, once you finished, were you like, oh man, this was bad? Or were you like, oh, that was easy?
I think I left the exam feeling okay. But then as I thought more about the questions, I started to feel really bad about it.
So for me personally, I took it and I was like, I'm screwed. I did not pass at all whatsoever. I'm like telling my parents, my girlfriend, who is now my wife, I was like, I didn't pass. I'm gonna have to retake it. And I get my score and I passed like so easily, like above the minimum, that I'm like, why was I stressing myself out? But I guess I was just like playing the head games with myself. Same way, I'd be like, that question, check it in the book after, I got it wrong. That question, I got it wrong.
I know, everyone tells you not to go home and check the questions, but I did it,
so did I.
Yeah. Don't do that.
So let's get into you scoring your first job.
Yeah.
So did you go out and apply for places, or did you network and find the openings? How
Yeah.
does that work?
So a lot of my rotations were up north, so I had job interviews, but I didn't take them. So I always had something to fall back on if I felt like I needed to, but I ended up doing just applying those different websites. Indeed is one of them, Doc Cafe and different things. So I just looked for things there. There was a lot of people that were telling me about job offers as well, so networking is important. But I ended up interviewing for a couple different places, and some of them I really liked, some of them I really didn't see myself working there. And the interview process, a lot of the places, they would offer you to come and shadow for a day and see if that's something that you want to do.
Okay, great. So then you get that first job and you're excited. You're
Yes.
like, finally, the real PA, like the PAC,
Yes.
practicing provider. A lot of people don't realize this. They think you go to school and you start working, but explain how much more studying did you do when you're actually working as a PA starting out?
I'm still studying.
I felt like when I first started, I was studying more
Yes.
than when I was in PA school, because
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this is the real deal. I can't be making mistakes. I need to know my stuff. I had it a little bit easier because I work in orthopedics, so I was just hitting it 100% orthopedics. But a lot of people don't take into consideration, doing urgent care, ER stuff like, hey, you got to study like crazy still.
Yeah.
But with time and experience, things become second nature, and you see more diseases that become more common. And so, right now you're kind of in that oh, I still need to study like crazy, but you'll get to a point soon where you not feel as apprehensive about things.
Every single day I learn something new. There's just so much more about medicine that you don't know, and I think sometimes that's our problem, is we don't know what we don't know.
Exactly.
So studying has kind of bridged that gap, but having a great support system at work, my attending is great. I have any questions, I'll always ask him. And
so I like to finish each interview with a segment called Drops of Knowledge. Knowing and having gone through everything, what's one piece of advice you like to share with aspiring PAs out there?
It's a long journey, but you have to enjoy it.
Enjoy the journey. There you have it. Amazing words of wisdom from amazing PA. Melody, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a lot of fun. And now we're going to do some other fun stuff up on these silks.
Yes.
All right, let's do it. I'm Anthony, and this is Melody, and she's going to show me how to do some cool stuff on these things. Let's do it. I did it!